She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstine.
Hey friends, if you're looking for premium performance gear for your next adventure, look no further than Vormi. Their innovative wool technology is perfect for any outdoor activity. And the best part, you can also support the show by shopping through my affiliate link at vormi.com/Mia Anstine. We earn a little commission on your online purchases, excluding sale items, and it's no extra cost to you. Gear up for your next adventure with Vormi today. That's VOORMI.com/MIAANSTINE. Vormi.com/Mia Anstine. Hey guys, it's Mia Anstine here. I'm happy to be visiting with you again. And I know that there are many people who are super excited about the election results in the United States. And that is obvious because there is always the majority who is happy that their candidate won. And when we look at election results, it seems that most people look at the presidential election. And that's the big thing, is who's going to be president. But there are so many other things that we have to vote for in our states and counties and in our communities. And I think some people don't even realize those underlying issues that kind of uphold or support or determine the bigger picture. But this year in Colorado, that's where I live, we had some big items on our ballot. And the biggest one, I would say, in the hunting community was a fight to save wildlife management, basically. We had on our ballot a proposition that aimed to eliminate mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx hunting. And a lot of people may think that hunting of these cats is not important, but it is. And that's something that I think everybody should know about. And I did kind of campaign for this to explain, as a hunter ed instructor and as a hunter, I understand why we hunt and manage these animals. And so that's what I campaigned for, is we manage these animals not only for food, because that is something that we have to do. When you take a mountain lion in Colorado, you take the meat as well. It's part of the law that you actually eat these animals. And this initiative was ran under a cats aren't trophies was the slogan that the proponents had put out. And they're right. They're not trophies. They are wildlife. They live in the same communities that we do, or rather we live in their habitat. We've overtaken their habitat. We have millions of people in our state that live in their habitat. So there is a lot of managing that has to be done. And there actually is a recent mountain lion study that was released by Colorado Parks and Wildlife, coincidentally, like a week and a half after the election, actually just shortly after the election. But anyways, part of that study shows that the mountain lions are thriving in Colorado, and even in a portion of the area that they studied, they are exceeding the intended goal because of the carrying capacity of that habitat. So if you don't know what that means, the habitat can sustain X amount of wildlife. And right now, the mountain lions in some areas are a little high, which means you would actually, as a wildlife management agency, you would issue more hunting licenses for that animal to help manage it so that they all are able to live a nice, healthy life and thrive as a wildlife species. So something else that you might not understand about wildlife management is that these predators, looking at the bobcats and smaller game like that, a lot of that is hunted via trapping. And we hunt these because they actually have impacts on our other small game species, such as maybe prairie chickens, turkeys, pheasants, quail. Like, these smaller animals impact those populations. And you can actually see that in the state of New Mexico. They eliminated trapping, and they're in New Mexico, not there, but in New Mexico, the populations of the prairie chickens are plummeting. So that is something that we can help manage one species by managing another species to help have a balanced wildlife population. But anyways, in Colorado, we as hunters and conservationists and people who love wildlife, even though some people claim to love wildlife, we love wildlife and want all species to thrive. And so we deem it a win that Proposition number 127 in Colorado was defeated. And something else that you would like to know is that the Coloradans learned something in 2020 when we had a proposition to introduce wolves into our state. And that initiative passed, and we are currently dealing with the ramifications and the excessive spending that has gone on to introduce the wolves because the voters didn't realize what they were voting for. And we have had tons of depredations, livestock kills already. The cattlemen are trying to figure out how they can protect their livestock because with a federally protected species, they're not able to, if a wolf is attacking their cow or sheep and they see that, they're not allowed to kill the wolf as a means to protect their livestock. They actually have to call in for help and watch the animal suffer while they're waiting for somebody to come and help them. So it's really a terrible, heartbreaking. I mean, for me, it hurts my heart to think about how this is happening because voters thought they were voting for, let's put a beautiful wolf on the landscape. Yeah, and they are beautiful. They're on the landscape, but it's all the stuff around. And that's what we need to think about when we're voting. All the impacts, these ripples. So a water drops into the water bucket and it ripples out. And so when we vote, there's this ripple effect and we have to take that into account. So in Colorado, we had a win with Proposition 127. An anti-hunting initiative was defeated. And we're very thankful and proud of that. And we want you to know that I'll try to keep you updated on this on my Mia Anstine site and let you know where this is going to go, because this actually was defeated at the state agency's commission meetings. It was defeated, and then it was taken to the House as a bill, and it was defeated. And then they took it to the ballot, and it was defeated. But right now, the sportsman community is a little concerned because we feel that the commission now is stacked with some anti-hunting game commissioners, and there's proof of that in that they were campaigning for an anti-hunting ballot initiative, which is actually against their rules in our state. And so they were campaigning in support of that ballot initiative, and they're on the game commission. So I'll try to keep you posted of that over on my Mac Outdoors outlet. But in addition, in our state, there was Proposition KK. This was a measure to implement a state tax on firearms and ammunition. And so that did pass, and it passed. The funds raised from that tax on gun owners is aimed to go support mental health, which I do believe a lot of mental health support is needed. That is why we have so many suicides and we have so many people shaving their heads and crying and acting out, is because we need some help in that mental health area. So while this initiative passed and it's going to cost gun owners, hopefully the intended outcome is going to be supportive for all communities in addition to the gun owning community when it comes to mental health. So I don't want to just focus on Colorado. I also wanted to talk to you about some other states. A big one is Florida became the 24th state to adopt a constitutional right to hunt and fish amendment. And that adoption is a huge one, and it's one that we've talked about here in Colorado. It's going to take a big push to try to get something like that. However, there's something that we need to note also with a right to hunt and fish. It doesn't say a right to hunt and fish what in most of these amendments, but the hunting and fishing will always be there. And something that concerns me is that maybe we're only going to be hunting and fishing catch and release only fishing for bass, not for trout, or only fishing for carp and not for pike, or something like that. So we have to kind of think of these things and educate our friends and family and others about what it means to hunt or fish. So if you're not a hunter or an angler and you have questions about it, message me. You can find me. My email address is contact@miaanstine.com, or you can message me on social media. I'm on most of the major social media outlets as Mia Anstine, and I check my messages regularly, so I'd be happy to answer any questions for you there. I wanted to also just tell you about some of the successes and challenges, or challenges and wins for gun owners. So, in several of the Western states, the election outcomes suggested that there might be some more restrictive gun policies coming ahead. And by that, I'm talking about in Washington state, they've reelected leaders in their state that are going to support their governors' ongoing efforts to reinforce red flag laws and bans on semi-automatic rifles. And that, as I said, can potentially broaden firearms restrictions in that state. Down in Oregon, the Democrats held on to power, and that aligns with initiatives that are going to expand the need for background checks and enforce their so-called safe storage regulations. Additionally, California's Democrat victories also are going to reinforce Governor Newsom's commitment to strict gun control. And with these policies already in place, and requiring microstamping on new handguns and banning high-capacity magazines, there's a lot of litigation going on, but those are some of the hurdles that are going to have to be overcome. And so those are some of the negatives, but there are some positives. And as I said, the Colorado Proposition KK was also added a hurdle. But some positives. There were positives. Despite those developments, there were several other states that had positive outcomes, such as Texas. Lloyd, hopefully you're going to stay in Texas a while. It seems like Texas ended up very red, and usually red means support of our gun rights. But Senator Ted Cruz was reelected, and he is pretty pro-gun, and he should be helping support gun rights. In Florida, the recent elections helped secure some more gun-friendly leadership as well, and that will hopefully ensure that the state still continues to back the permitless carry laws that they currently have and some of their individual self-defense rights. Also, notably in Missouri, the Republican victories are bringing momentum to initiatives aiming to streamline concealed carry rules and to resist some of the federal mandates on firearm regulations. These leaders in Texas, Florida, and Missouri, they signal support for Second Amendment rights, and their policies align with the gun owners' calls for simplified regulations and protections for lawful self-defense. And additionally, I'll just give a little summary from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They ran the Gun Vote campaign, which they do every year. And the Gun Vote campaign is basically voting to help protect our Second Amendment rights. And so they highlighted how millions of gun owners and hunters and Second Amendment supporters made their voices heard in the election. And they helped secure the victory for President-elect Donald Trump and pro-gun members of Congress. We had millions of first-time gun owners and previously unregistered hunters mobilized. And this is something with Safari Club International. We ran a campaign to take a hunter to the polls, and we signed commitments to take new people to the polls. And the election results showed that we have a strong affirmation of commitment to protect the Second Amendment, and that we had some key Senate wins. Some of those are in Ohio, West Virginia, and Montana, and they reinforce their pro-gun stances in Congress, showing that gun owners have an influence on election outcomes. And so I hope in the future we can continue this momentum so that we can continue to be able to enjoy our passions, our freedoms, most importantly, to have firearms, to carry our firearms, to have them for self-defense, to have them for recreation and hunting, which hunting I deem as recreation, although it is conservation as well. As I said, if you have questions, please reach out to me, let me know, or let Lloyd know, and he can message me as well. I'd be happy to answer them. And until next time, have a great one. I hope you all have a smile.
This summer, whether at the range or in the field, WSI Sports Hyper-Tech bamboo tanks, tees, and leggings will have you covered. Visit WSISports.com to support the show and use the affiliate code MACO10 for 10% off your purchase. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. Again, that code is MACO10 for 10% off your order at WSISports.com.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.